This is the Louie T Network.
Man, I love some football. Man, I love some football. My favorite week is week 1, cause I'm watching football. First comes the preseason, and I don't take a day off. And then it gets even better when your team makes the playoffs. 32 teams go hard for one thing. They work for one thing. That Super Bowl ring. 32 teams go hard for one thing. They work for one thing. That Super Bowl ring. We in the lab room.
Louie T, welcome to the program. You are in the lab room. I, of course, am your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. It's Friday. Hey, it's Friday, everybody. Smile. Put a smile on your face. It's Friday. And what that really means, though, is we got to take a step back and a look back at what occurred on Thursday. That's right, Thursday Night Football. There's a Thursday Night Showcase to get to, folks. And it was another funky funk fest on Thursday night. And boy, I'll tell you what, Thursday Night Football on CBS has gotten off to a pretty rotten start, hasn't it? And so much for the idea that putting divisional rivals against each other and having a slate full of family business matchups for being a good idea. So much for that, huh? I mean, you look at Monday Night Football, and every week we've had fireworks. We've had some dramatic finishes. You look at week 1 and that San Diego Chargers-Arizona game that went down to the wire, Arizona pulling it out at the end. Then you go to week 2 and you see the Indianapolis Colts and the Philadelphia Eagles have it down to the wire, end of the game, last second field goal winning the game for the Eagles. And you go to week 3, Jets and the Chicago Bears play a tight game. Geno Smith takes his team all the way down to the 5-yard line before not being able to get into the end zone, and the Bears able to hold on the road. Those games have been competitive. They've been fun to watch. You go to Thursday Night Football, and their rationale was, hey, let's put all of these divisional games on. It'll be great. Division teams always play each other tough, don't they? It's family business. They know each other. There's no way we can lose here. And they've struck out. They're 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts right now on Thursday Night Football. Week 2, you got arguably one of the biggest rivals in all of football in the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens. That rivalry has somewhat lost its luster, maybe because the 49ers and the Seahawks have overtaken them as the most entertaining divisional rivalry in all of football. But nonetheless, the Ravens took care of business and took care of the Steelers pretty handily on Thursday Night Football in week number 2. Then you move to week 3 and you say, okay, Tampa Bay, new look football team, Lovie Smith, going to have these Buccaneers ready to play football. They're a team that could actually sneak up and win that division, or at least that's what everybody thought. Put them on against the Falcons, looking to bounce back. They got all their stuff back. Roddy's going to be back. You're going to have Julio. You're going to have the whole cast of characters, Matty Ice. It should be a lot of fun. It was a dismantling is what it was. And so that was a disaster. Strike 2. Then you go to week number 3 and you say, okay, we got ourselves a good one here. Eli Manning, Giants on the road versus the new look Redskins. Robert Griffin III is going to be back. He's going to be great. Jay Gruden, having him in his system. This should be a lot of fun. You get no Robert. You get an Eli Manning-led offense that at the time you didn't really know if they were on track or not. And then you get Kirk Cousins. So you still get a storyline, though. It's still hot and juicy, hot off the press. and then you get an ass whooping is what you get. 45-14, which we're about to delve into briefly here. And so you get another helping of funk sent your way. So CBS right now, they're saying, God damn, what do we got to do to get ourselves a good matchup here? What do we have to do to get something that's appetizing for the viewers? Right now, they have nothing. I think college football has actually been more pleasing to the eyes on Thursday than the NFL has been. And this is kind of the problem you get when you put teams up against each other on a Thursday, short week of rest. They don't have a chance to recharge the battery. The better team normally wins, the more prepared team, the healthier team. Let me say that. The healthier team normally comes out on top. Because you got guys that may be able to play if the game were on Sunday, but because it's on Thursday, hey, I got to sit this one out. I'm not ready to go yet, coach. So let's jump into this game. Thursday night football, Washington Redskins at home taking on the New York Giants. Family business, NFC East style. And you're thinking to yourself, this is going to be a lot of fun, man. I mean, the Redskins are coming off of 2 straight weeks of scoring up over 30 points. Hell, they scored 40 2 weeks ago at home versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Kirk Cousins looks like the second coming of Steve Young as a guy that was a backup. He gets an opportunity, and then all of a sudden, he's throwing the football over the field and having people clamoring for him to potentially be the new man in D.C. and shun the guy that you gave away all these picks to get in Robert Griffin III. How soon we forget. So he has all the town raging and ranting and raving about him, and then you look across the field at just the steady guy, Eli Manning. Yeah, he had a rough season last year. New coordinator now, Kevin Gilbride, off in retirement. Enter in McAdoo as your offensive coordinator coming over from Green Bay. So Ben McAdoo looking to kind of infuse this quick tempoed offense where you kind of look at Eli Manning and you get the call from him and he gets to kind of run the show, and they don't huddle up a lot and they're looking for high completion percentage, so a lot of short throws, sets up the run. And the Giants got on track last week. Even though it wasn't as pretty, it wasn't aesthetically pleasing last week, it was a W. So you go into this game thinking, okay, we might have something here. The Thursday, people at CBS thought, okay, they're going to bail us out. We're going to get a competitive football game here. And early on, it looked like that might be the case. And the Redskins come out flat in this game. The Redskins absolutely were, I want to say they were overmatched. They were underprepared. And the Giants simply wanted this game more than the Redskins did. They wanted this game more. They played like it. They played with a sense of urgency. They played like a team that was trying to get to 500 and avoid going to 1-3 on the season. Somebody was going to leave this game at 1-3. The other team was going to find themselves back at 500. The Giants played like a team that was trying to avoid 1-3. The Redskins played like a team that it didn't matter to them whether they went 2-2 or 1-3 on the season. Yes, the Redskins were dealing with a lot of injuries. Yes, the Redskins were coming off a short week, but so were the Giants, and the Giants were the better team. Eli Manning absolutely carved this football team up. The Redskins defensively had no answer for Eli Manning, and Larry Donnell, he went to work on this Redskins football team, carving them up for 3 first-half touchdowns. And really, if not for the Redskins' turnovers, this is a different football game. Even though the Redskins, I thought, were horrendous on defense, and in the first half, you could argue that the offense, they did their job. There weren't any turnovers until that Logan Paulson fumble, which I thought was backbreaking. That was the play that I think turned this game around in the favor of the Giants. Even though the Giants were doing what they wanted to do offensively and had already amassed 21 points in this game, the score at the time was 21-7. The Redskins get the football after the half, and we saw what the Redskins did with that first possession of the second half. They marched right down the field and got in the end zone. So had Logan Paulson not had the football taken from him like a 7th grader in middle school being bullied for his lunch money, had he not had the football taken from him and put the church's money on the floor, as I was told once by a very wise man, this is a totally different football game. Even if the Redskins are only able to squeeze a field goal out of that possession. And let's assume the Giants don't get any points after that possession comes to a close to round out the first half. If it's 21-10 and the Redskins do what they did, let's assume the Redskins do what they did after halftime, it's 21-17. It's a different ball game at that point. This is a totally different game. But instead, and you can't go back and change things. This is what happened, okay? This is what happened. Logan Paulson did have the football taken from him as if he were in the 7th grade. He did put the church's money on the floor. And once that happened, the Giants had the momentum. They went down the field, got another field goal, and went to the halftime break up 17 instead of only up potentially 7 or 10, and the Redskins getting the football after the half. So that changed the whole dynamic of the game. And even though the Redskins came out and showed a little bit of life in the second half with that opening possession, marched right down the field, scored a touchdown, made it look easy, 24-14. And then the defense actually got a stop and gave them back the football. Then it turned into the Kirk Cousins horror show, starring, you guessed it, number 8, Kirk Cousins. He was absolutely horrendous in the second half, primarily the third quarter. 3 interceptions in 1 quarter. I don't recall seeing a quarterback do that in a while. Just three picks. And I want to say that these were in consecutive possessions as well. So, I mean, he was sharing the football. Sharing is caring, and Kirk Cousins was way too caring in this football game. He was spreading the love all around to the New York Football Giants, and everybody was getting their turn to get in on the fun, man. It was a love fest, and it was too much loving going on by Kirk Cousins. Sharing is caring, and he was caring way too much. And so he systematically took apart this Washington Redskins opportunity to win this game. He systematically took it apart with every single throw that went into the hands of a Giants defender. And if not for the Redskins and Brandon Merriweather forcing that interception, I want to say midway through the third quarter, this game gets out of control way sooner than it did. But nonetheless, Kirk Cousins continued, I mean, literally after that pick, I want to say 2 plays later, Kirk Cousins threw it right back to the Giants. So there was really nothing good in the second half for the Redskins other than that opening possession. And the Giants just run away with this game. It became less and less watchable with each Kirk Cousins passing attempt. And every time the defense had to get back on the field, and yes, the defense was terrible in the first half, but to put them in the positions that they were put in the second half, no defense is going to stand up. You can't ask a defense, after they forced the turnover, to come back on the field and have to defend 20 yards of football field. Come on, you can't do that over and over again. How many times are you going to throw interceptions after the defense just got off the field and expect them to rise up to the occasion? It's not happening, and it did not happen in this game as the New York Football Giants go into D.C. and absolutely destroy the Washington Redskins. 45-14. Coming out party for Larry Donnell, as he had 3 touchdowns. Could have had a 4th, but ended up with 3 touchdowns in this game. The Giants were able to run the football, which was very surprising. I thought the Redskins, that's something that I thought the Redskins would be able to count on game in and game out, is the ability to stop teams from rushing the football. That didn't happen in this game. The Giants had success on the ground. The Giants had success. As we know, Eli Manning was absolutely razor sharp in this game, and he cut up this Redskins defense with surgical-like precision as the Giants just get it done in every phase of the game. 45-14. Giants go to 2-2 on the season. Redskins drop to 1-3 on the season. And it's going to be a tough uphill battle for this Redskins team as the next 2 contests, home against the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football, which that looks like a loss right now. And then you think 2 weeks from now, you're talking Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. Ask the 49ers how tough it is to go in there and get a W. We're talking about an undefeated Cardinals football team. Good luck with that one too. So big win for the Giants to go in there and get back to 500. 2 weeks ago, this Giants team looked like a dumpster fire. And all of a sudden now, 2 weeks later, we're talking about a different Giants football team. So Giants are starting to make some power moves and do some things. Good win for the Giants on the road. Terrible loss if you are the Washington Redskins. We're going to bypass the break today and just jump straight into the Pick'em Weekly for week number 4 in the National Football League. And a little disappointed. Hey, I'm disappointed that I got off to a rugged start this week. You know I hate losing Thursday night football. I was all in on the Redskins. I pushed all the chips to the middle of the table, and all my money's gone now. So right now I'm a little destitute. I feel, a certain type of way. There's a bad aura coming from me right now. I'm ornery today. You can understand why, though. You can understand why I got a bad taste in my mouth today, but that's not going to stop me from making some good picks. Now, last week, I felt really good about what I was about to embark upon last week. And what happened to me last week was nothing short of fluky, okay? 9-7 for me last week. That's not going to get it done. Now, I will say, last week, I saw some things coming, and I was hoping to avoid them. When you pick Jacksonville, you're asking for trouble. I was asking for trouble. I was looking. I went fishing for a winner, and I got nothing, okay? I went fishing for dinner, and I came up with nothing. That's fine. I went home hungry that night. That's fine. I was willing to take that L. But there were certain L's that I wasn't willing to take, and I had to take anyway. So it's all good. I'm going to put last week behind me, and this is a new week. Of course, 6 teams are on a bye week. This is the first time we've got bye week, so there's not as many contests anymore. So now the amount of games that you can win has been shortened. Okay, now the maximum amount of games that you have to pick from has been shortened. So now it takes some of the luster off the top. You can't afford to lose 7 games anymore. Those days are over. You lose 7 games when there's only 13 on the slate, you're under 500. So now you got to step your game up. I'm ready. I'm ready to step my game up. So let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get into these picks and get back to where I feel like I should be as a prognosticator of the National Football League. So let's start in Baltimore. Panthers at Baltimore, and what Steve Smith has deemed the blood and guts game. And Steve, some people took Steve, to be tongue-in-cheek here. Oh, Steve's serious now. Steve, he feels a certain type of way. Steve is there's some animosity there. He loves Carolina. Don't get it twisted. That'll always be home. He even said it himself. However, they basically said you can't play at a high level anymore. That's why we're willing to let you walk. You don't bring to the table what we have come to expect from Steve Smith Sr. any longer, and thus you got to move on. You don't got to go home. You just got to get out of here. That's what the Panthers essentially told Stephen Smith. So now we're at the point where Steve wants a little bit of revenge. And you know that revenge is a dish that's served ice cold. And so Steve Smith Sr. is looking to be cold-blooded this week as his Ravens take on the Carolina Panthers. Panthers coming off of a nasty defeat last week. Pittsburgh Steelers gave those boys work last week. Meanwhile, Ravens coming off of a tough, hard-fought road victory against the Cleveland Browns. The one thing I can say about the Baltimore Ravens, the offense isn't always consistent. It isn't always pretty, but the defense is gritty. They get it done. They stop teams from getting into the end zone on a consistent basis. The Panthers are a team that doesn't like to score a lot of points anyhow. This is a match made in heaven for the Baltimore Ravens now. This is going to be a tough, physical. Hey, look, Steve said it's blood and guts everywhere. And from a defensive standpoint, that's exactly what this game is going to be. Both of these teams' defenses can lace them up and play with the best of them. What's going to be the difference here is that the Ravens are at home. Steve Smith has a fire in his belly, and he's going to look to destroy this Carolina Panthers defense that was torched a week ago. I don't see the Ravens having the type of success the Steelers had on the ground last week, but I do see the Ravens doing enough to win this football game. Give me the Baltimore Ravens at home to improve to 3-1 on the season as they get it done versus this Carolina Panthers team who let me down tremendously a week ago. Good luck, Carolina. You're going on the road to M&T Bank. You're going to need it. You move on to the next matchup, Green Bay at Chicago, family business. And Green Bay looked abysmal last week on the road at Detroit. Now they got to lace it up again and go back on the road against another divisional opponent, this time the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears. And this is a trap game right here. I seriously don't feel like the Bears should be winning this game. I just don't. And every time I want to buy Chicago Bears stock, they do something really foolish and their stock plummets. And I'm like, man, I just bought like 40 shares of that stock yesterday. And all of a sudden, all my money's gone. I just feel like one of those major letdowns is right around the corner. Like, if I pick the Bears this week, Aaron Rodgers and that offense is going to get on track. Jay Cutler is going to throw 2 interceptions, and one of their skill guys is going to fumble the football, and they're going to lose this game to the Green Bay Packers 27-17. I feel like that is about to happen. But until it does, I got to pick Chicago in this game because I don't like what I'm seeing out of the Packers right now. They scare me because when I look at the Packers, I don't know who I'm looking at. You ever looked at somebody and you're like, man, I don't know this person right now. Like, that's pretty scary. I'm looking at the Packers. I'm talking to the Packers. They look like the Packers. They smell like the Packers. But I'm not sure if that's actually really the Green Bay Packers. That energy that I'm getting from them, it seems so unfamiliar. I need something real. Right now, I just don't feel these Green Bay Packers. Give me the Chicago Bears. This is one of those games I may regret that come next Friday, come Monday. However, right now, till I see it, make me a believer. Make me a believer. Give me Chicago at home to take care of the Green Bay Packers. You move on to the next matchup. Buffalo at Houston. To me, this is the trap game of the week because Houston is a fraud. I told you that last week, and look what happened. Houston is a fraud, and when you got Ryan Fitzpatrick at quarterback, what do you expect to happen? Nobody knows this more so than the Buffalo Bills. They had Ryan Fitzpatrick basically first. I mean, he was in St. Louis first, technically, but nobody gave him starters money like the Buffalo Bills. Nobody struggles with quarterbacks like the Buffalo Bills. No, I'm just playing. But the Bills know Ryan Fitzpatrick, and they know that he's a very caring and sharing guy. And as we all know, in the National Football League, you don't want a very caring and sharing quarterback. Well, Ryan Fitzpatrick is that kind of guy. So if the Bills can get pressure on him, they've done a great job of doing that this year, and force turnovers, something else they've done a great job of doing this year, then they can win this game. But the same can be said for E.J. Manuel. If J.J. Watt and company, Brooks Reed and D.J. Swearinger, if they can get a hold of E.J. Manuel, what do you think E.J. is going to do with the football? So I feel like you're caught between a rock and a hard place. It's a catch-22, essentially. So when it's this even between two teams, they're both 2-1. Both teams, you could argue, aren't as good as their record might indicate. I actually think the Bills aren't that bad. I don't think Houston is for real. But I think the Bills could be onto something, but I'm still not sold on them because E.J. Manuel's their quarterback. You gotta go with the home team. Once things are even, you just gotta split it down the middle and say, all right, who's at home? Houston's at home, give me the Texans. So that's what I'm doing. You move on to the next game. Tennessee at Indianapolis, family business. Straight up, the Tennessee Titans don't look like a team that's going to be able to march into Indianapolis and win. It just doesn't seem that way. Now, the Colts haven't started off the season like gangbusters. They're 1-2 in the season. They just got their first win last week on the road against Jacksonville. But it's a win nonetheless. You could argue they were robbed on Monday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles. Look, we're not here to cry over spilt milk. The fact of the matter is they have a chance to go, most importantly, to 2-0 within their own division. And if you're the Indianapolis Colts, you're at home. Tennessee is struggling. Jake Locker is struggling. Okay? This Titans defense is struggling. And I expected that. That's probably the one thing that I did expect, is that you're moving from a 4-3 to a 3-4 defense. Ray Horton coming in and implementing his scheme, you're going to struggle. I call it the mandatory year of struggle when you make a defensive scheme switch. When you've been a 4-3 defense for a long time, guess what you get left with when you make that switch? You get left with 4-3 parts. Every part isn't interchangeable. Guys have to learn. So you take Derek Morgan, you take his hands out of the dirt, and you tell him, hey, now you got to stand up. You got to drop into coverage sometimes, and now you got to rush out of a different stance. It's foreign to him. So you're going to have some struggle. Hence, give me the Indianapolis Colts to get back on track, get their 2-game winning streak in the division and, more importantly, get back to 500 on the season and kind of right the ship, because this division looks funny without them at the top right now. The Texans have the lead right now, and I think it's time for the Colts to make that move to go back towards the top of that division. Here's another step in doing that. Give me Indy at home. You move on to the next matchup. Detroit at the Jets. Now, this is the ultimate trap game. I've said that a couple of times, but this one is the scariest of all the trap games in week number 4. This is the one that concerns me the most, because the Detroit Lions, much like the Chicago, every team in that division scares me right now, because Detroit has the talent. They have the ability to do big things, but they always get in their own way. Last week, they won against Green Bay, something that they've struggled mightily with. But it wasn't pretty. But look, all wins aren't going to be pretty. Just get them. Hey, get a W any way you can. By hook, by crook. A wise man once told me, by any means necessary. That's what they did last week. It wasn't pretty. Matthew Stafford threw 2 interceptions. They struggled offensively, but they did enough. They won by any means necessary. That meant holding the Green Bay Packers to 7 points. They did it. Now the question is, can you take that show on the road against a very dirty, filthy, and nasty Jets defense that's going to come after Matthew Stafford and force the issue? Can you go on the road against an aggressive Rex Ryan-led defense and get it done? I've seen many go into New York with high hopes and come out with their heads down and looking sad like a puppy dog because Rex Ryan sicked the dogs on you and you're left with an L. I've seen many a quarterback go in there thinking they were going to have a field day and come out smelling like yesterday's garbage, hot garbage. This one scares me because Matthew Stafford showed me last week that he's not afraid to still throw 2 or 3 picks in a game. And I just don't know. I just don't know. But I will say this. Detroit's playing some really good defense. And if they continue to play the defense they've been playing all year long, Gino, oh, Gino, oh, no. He'll show up and he'll show out like he did on Monday. And if he shows up and he shows out, Detroit will go on the road and get a win. And that's what I'm banking on. Give me the Detroit Lions. That's one of those ones I may regret, but I'm willing to take that L if it comes my way. Give me the Detroit Lions on the road to improve their record to 3-1. You move on to the money game. Money, money, yeah, yeah. Money, money, yeah, yeah. Let's get it. The money game of the week. And we got to go all the way across the water for this one. We got to go to London to get the money game of the week in week number 4 in the National Football League. Miami Dolphins at the Oakland Raiders. Both of these teams are lost, and they're trying to find themselves. And this is going to be a very intriguing matchup. Miami has so much turmoil in their organization and in their facility right now. It's not even funny. There's so many fingers being pointed in so many directions. Guys don't know who to blame right now. You're hearing Ryan Tannehill's to blame. Some people are pointing the finger at defensive coordinator Kevin Coyle. This defense has been abysmal. This offense hasn't scored any points. Look, you could point the finger in any different direction. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you got to find a way to get a win. And I've seen this Dolphins team under this regime with their backs against the wall, and I've seen them come out and fight. I've seen the Raiders, who are 0-3, and they put up a fight last week, but it wasn't enough. They only scored 9 points. You know how it goes in this league. Field goals don't win games. Touchdowns do. They only were able to muster 3 field goals. No touchdowns last week, so you lose. So I've seen the Raiders with their back against the wall. And you know what they usually do when their backs are against the wall? They become a part of the wall because they don't get off the wall. I've seen the Dolphins with their back against the wall, and they come out fighting. They come out swinging. Last year, I left them for dead on Halloween. Cincinnati Bengals playing great football in their house, Halloween night, Thursday night football. A chance for the Cincinnati Bengals to bury this Dolphins team. They were left for dead. And just like a zombie that has come back to life, they stuck their hand up through that dirt and they said, hey, don't bury me yet. And they sat up like the Undertaker. And they started playing some football. And I expect the Dolphins, who in this very young season already have their backs against the wall. If they fall to 1-3 with a loss to the Oakland Raiders, where do you go from there? Where do you go? There's nowhere to go from there but down. This is a division that has the 2-1 Patriots, the 2-1 Bills, and the Jets. Even though they're 1-2 on the season, they've played some very competent football. They could easily be 2-1 right now. So if you are the Miami Dolphins, you got to win this game. And their backs are against the wall, and I feel like they're going to find a way to get it done. Amid all of the speculation, is this guy going to be fired? Is this guy going to be back? Is Ryan Tannehill going to be benched? They're going to put all of that to rest. They're going to drown out all the noise. You know what? It's probably not the worst thing in the world that this game is in London for the Dolphins. Because if this game were in the States, they might have to listen to all of that all week long, and it might have proved to be a distraction. You take it across the water, and not as many guys are asking you foolish questions. You're able to get away and tune that out. Give me the Dolphins on Sunday in London to get it done versus the Oakland Raiders. You move on to the next game. Tampa Bay at Pittsburgh. I didn't do a Soul Survivor show or segment this week, but I will give you my Soul Survivor pick with these picks. If you were looking for a secondary pick, there you go. Pittsburgh, I'm not going to break this game down. There's no reason to. I will say this. Tampa Bay is going to have Mike Glennon at quarterback. That's a wild card. He's much better than what they had at the quarterback position under Josh McCown. So I feel like he's going to add an element of mystery for this Pittsburgh Steelers defense to have to deal with. And if they can continue to make the Buccaneers make mistakes like they've made in the past and keep them from, maximizing all of them. They still got weapons on that team. That's the thing that's scary about Tampa Bay, is that even though they play bad football, they've got talent on this football team. That's what makes them a scary bunch. Unlike Jacksonville, where you're like, okay, you're still missing a few pieces. Tampa Bay has all the pieces necessary to be a dangerous football team. They just lack the quarterback. And if you don't have the quarterback in this league, you know how it goes. You don't stand a chance. Well, Mike Glennon is the quarterback that I think can help them win some football games. So I'm just telling you to be careful here. I don't expect them to win this game, but I do expect them to scare the hell out of some people. But this isn't the Soul Survivor pick of the week, but I am picking the Pittsburgh Steelers to win this game and improve to 3-1 on the season. But I don't think this one is going to be as easy as everybody thinks. But nonetheless, give me the Steelers to win this football game. You move on to the next game, and this one is in fact my Soul Survivor. The Soul Survivor of week number 4. I'm talking Jacksonville Jaguars at the San Diego Superchargers. And at one point, there's always a point. At one point in a survivor pool, you have the light switch come on, and it turns on, and you realize that team is bad. And I can follow that team to my destiny. Now, in a survivor pool, you only get to pick a team once. So, guess what? The Jacksonville Jaguars, outside of teams in their own division, and I stay away from divisional games anyhow, they only play a team once. So, you can follow Jacksonville around. And again, I always warn teams and people in survivor pools with this. I always give out this disclaimer. At some point, the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to jump up and they're going to bite somebody. Don't let it be you in a week where you say, hey, there's no way Jacksonville is winning this game. It's not this week, though. I can assure you that they haven't found themselves yet. Blake Bortles, even though I like the fact that this young man is getting a chance to start, and I think he's going to upgrade them at the quarterback position, he's not ready to win yet. That's why they didn't want to play him. He's not ready to win yet. So, I'm saying this right now. You can follow Jacksonville for another few weeks. But once this young fella, Blake B, gets on his feet and he understands the nuances of the National Football League, he gets all this stuff back. I'm talking Cecil Shorts III. You got Marquise Lee. You got Robinson out there. And you start getting all these weapons on the same page. Mercedes Lewis. Then you look in the backfield and all of a sudden shoelaces are starting to run. Toby Gerhart starts to kick it into high gear. Because look, the quarterback position can make everyone, that's the one position on the field that can make everyone else better. That's why the importance at the position is so great. That's why the quarterback is paid the most money. That's why we make such a big deal, because a wide receiver can't make everybody else better on the team. He can try, but he can't. You know, a wide receiver can't make the offensive line better. A wide receiver can try to make plays, but if the offensive line isn't getting it done, he can't get the football. So it doesn't matter. But a quarterback can make an offensive line better because he can get rid of the football fast. He can escape the pocket. When pressure comes, he can escape and make something out of nothing. A quarterback can make the offensive line better. A quarterback can make a running back better. A quarterback can make receivers better. He can throw receivers open. We've seen Brady do it for years. For years. We saw McNabb do it in Philly for years with nothing. No talent at receiver. Play competent football. Play great football. We've seen quarterbacks. Quarterbacks can elevate the level of play for a team. And Blake B can do that in Jacksonville. But he won't do that in week number 4. Take the San Diego Superchargers to get it done in week 4 as your Soul Survivor. They're going to get it done. You move on to the next matchup. Atlanta at Minnesota. Vikings starting Teddy B. Teddy B, baby. And so, Tedo, my good old man Tedo. Tedo's getting a start. Now, this is the question you got to ask yourself in Minnesota. Can you circumvent the Adrian Peterson situation, because you need the running game? Tedo is nice, but Tedo needs a running game. He needs some pressure to be taken off of him. And right now, I don't like what I see in that backfield. Matt Asiata, he's nice, but he's not real. And also, you know, I love the secret weapon. Shh, don't tell nobody about Jerick McKinnon. But it seems like the Vikings don't even know about Jerick McKinnon. So they need some sort of running game in Minnesota to help out Tedo. Tedo! But if they don't have a running game, you can't ask Teddy B to go out and be a miracle worker. And all of a sudden now, you look around in Minnesota, and all those weapons that I was talking about, they're slowly starting to diminish. Jerome Simpson, he's been released. No Adrian Peterson. Now all you're left with, of all the guys that I was really clamoring to see, is CP84 and, of course, the secret weapon. And again, he's still a secret to the Minnesota Vikings because they don't even know how to use him yet. So I don't really know if I like what the Vikings have going on. Then you look at the Falcons. They're playing really good football right now. They're coming off of the demolition of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then you add to the fact that they've had 10 days of rest. There's no way I see the Atlanta Falcons squandering an opportunity to go on a road and get a victory. Give me the Falcons to win for the 3rd time this season and take their record to 3-1 on the year. You move on to what I have deemed the in the lab room game of the week. Philadelphia Eagles, 3-0, undefeated, one of the 3 left undefeated teams in the National Football League, taking on the San Francisco 49ers. 49ers, their backs are against the wall. And last week was a tough loss because they played well in the first half and then went to sleep. The Arizona Cardinals put them to sleep in the second half. And so this is a big game for them. They're 1-2. They're at a crossroads in their season. They lose this game and go to 1-3 with the way the Arizona Cardinals are playing football, with the way the Seattle Seahawks play football. You've got to think that they are in some serious trouble. And again, in the NFC, you can get away with a 1-3 start in the AFC and still make a case for making the postseason if you get hot at some point in the season. In the NFC, you start 1-3 on the season, good luck, man. There's too many good teams in the NFC. Too many teams are going to end up around 10 wins for you to start off the season 1-3 and think you're still going to get in. I mean, look in your own division. 2 teams are already 2-1 or 3-0, and they're going to end up being 10-win teams. 2 of those teams won 10 games last year or more. So you got to know it's going to be tough in the NFC. Things could change. I mean, this is a week-to-week league, but you don't want to put yourself in an early hole if you're the 49ers. You got to have this one. And if you're the Eagles, why not go on the road again and get another big one? You went to Indy. I didn't think you were going to win that game. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't think you could beat the Indianapolis Colts in Indy, and you did. You had a fight on your hands last week with the Redskins, but you came out on top. Now, can you go on the road one more time against a tough opponent in the 49ers? They're starving for a victory. They gotta have it. Can you go into a hostile environment against a team that has to have it and go out and come out with a W? That's the question you gotta ask. I don't see the Eagles coming out victorious this time. The 49ers, they've got their backs against the wall. And it's early to be making those kind of claims and statements, but 1-3 is 1-3 any way you slice it. And the 49ers cannot afford to drop to 1-3. The Eagles, they're playing with house money right now. Whether they win this game or lose this game, they're going to be atop their division either way. So the way they see it, I don't see them coming out with the sense of urgency that the 49ers are going to come out with in this game. Give me San Francisco to win this football game. You move on to Sunday Night Football. New Orleans Saints at the Dallas Cowboys. This game is funny because the Cowboys are 2-1, but they haven't played like a 2-1 football team. And the New Orleans Saints are the inverse at 1-2, and they haven't played like a 1-2 team. You could argue both of these teams could easily be 0-3. The Dallas Cowboys, they pretty much dominated the Tennessee Titans, though. So that game, you could probably say, yeah, they deserve to win that game. But they should have lost against the Rams. They were dismantled in Week 1 at home versus the 49ers. Conversely, you look at the Saints, and you think, okay, yeah, they should have won against Cleveland, but they didn't. And the Browns actually dominated that game. So you could argue that they should have lost that game, and they did lose that game. They weren't impressive last week at home versus Minnesota, but a win. Ask Dallas. They weren't impressive against St. Louis, but they won. So now you got two teams coming off of unimpressive wins, but wins nonetheless. And so Sean Payton has had success against his old chums in Dallas. And I expect that to continue because I see the Saints scoring points on this Dallas defense. I'm not buying the fact that this Dallas defense is any good. I still think this is a bad group. And I expect the Saints to be able to use their weapons in this game to score points. And I expect Dallas to feel like they have to keep up. I expect Tony Romo to feel like he has to win the game. And that's where a couple of turnovers cost this Cowboys team in this game. Give me New Orleans to bring their record to 500 at 2-2 on the season with a road victory over the Dallas Cowboys. And finally, you find yourself on Monday night, Kansas City Chiefs hosting the New England Patriots. You got the 1-2 Chiefs versus the 2-1 Patriots. Again, another situation where you look at the Patriots at 2-1 and you say, you look real shaky, man. You're standing on a foundation that's not rock solid right now. I mean, who are you? No, seriously. Who are you, New England? Because last week, I don't know what that was. It was a win. I know that much. But it wasn't pretty. Hell, I don't even know what to call that. But you got it done against the Raiders at home. And now, you're going up against a Chiefs team that just got a lot of confidence last week. They scored 34. And my favorite, everybody's favorite superhero, Captain Jackda! He's back. And he's in full effect. And if you let him get into a rhythm and they're able to run the football, you could be in some trouble, New England. You could be in some trouble on the road, but I'm not buying what the Kansas City Chiefs are selling quite yet. They've got to prove to me that they can go home and get it done against a contender because the Dolphins don't classify as a good team right now. This Patriots team, even though they look shaky, still have Tom Brady, still have Bill Belichick, so they're still a good football team. You beat these guys, and then I'll start to open up and warm up to the idea that maybe the Chiefs aren't as bad as I thought. But right now, you're still the same old Chiefs. And because of that, I'm taking the New England Patriots to get it done on the road on Monday Night Football. And that's going to round out my picks for week number 4. I feel like it's a rock-solid group of picks, but I'm already 0-1. So I've got some ground to make up, and hopefully these picks that I've given you do exactly that for me in week number 4 in the National Football League. We'll take a quick break, come back, give an extra point, and wrap this thing on up.
Is your team hot or cold? Is your team trending up or down? Is your team flying below the radar or a visible force on the grid? Whatever the case, we'll do our own NFL power ranking here in the lab. It's the NFL Power Grid, coming soon here in the lab.
so we're back. And let's tackle on this quick extra point. And this is a sore subject for me, man. If you've watched me for any period of time, then you know this is a touchy subject for me, but I'm glad that it's getting its just due. If you've got a chance to check out a Football Life, Sean Taylor, please do so. It's coming on tonight at 8 o'clock. And look, if you don't have a chance, if you're not home, everybody's not home on a Friday night. I get it. DVR. If you don't have a DVR, you don't have any space on your DVR, that's fine. The NFL Network will play this Football Life featuring Sean Taylor for the next week or so until the next one comes out, at least 5 or 6 times. You'll get a chance to watch it on playback. So, look, we all know that Sean, and look, I feel like if you've been watching football for the last 10 years, then you were treated to one of the most athletically gifted football players of our generation. I think the world of Sean Taylor. I think that he was truly transcendent player in this league, and I thought he was going to be a Hall of Fame football player. There's no doubt in my mind. I thought that he brought to the table something that you couldn't teach, and that was God-given ability in a frame that said that he was supposed to be a cornerback. He hit like a linebacker, but was playing a safety position. I mean, he could do so many things on the field at once. It was amazing. And it's just a shame that we were robbed of such a talent so soon, you know. And a daughter lost her father, a father lost his son, and a football team and a community, we lost our heart. And so if you get an opportunity, please, please, I urge you, and this is for any fan base, watch a Football Life Sean Taylor on NFL Network on Friday at 8 p.m. And again, it'll be on numerous times. So you'll have ample opportunity to catch it before the next Football Life comes on next Friday. So by all means, please check it out. So that's going to do it for this installment of In the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Of course, you know how it goes. You already know. So enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the college football. Enjoy all your festivities. We'll come back. We'll break it down next week and see how I was able to fare. And hopefully we'll have a much better week. I mean, everything got kind of tangled up. It was a big ball of confusion this week. But next week, I expect to have a much better week. Everything should be on schedule. I think I'm about to start getting into my groove and my niche on my channel where everything is the way it's supposed to be. I think I might have had a revelation. We will see. But nonetheless, I'll see you back here next week. Enjoy the football, enjoy the festivities, and most importantly, stay safe. I'll see you next week.
In the Lab Room.